References. References are used everywhere, like intentional ones where this couple looking at the camera is referencing the cheating CEO at Coldplay. Non-intentional or non-direct ones, like every time someone mentions Persona, they probably mean the hit game series Persona. The examples before use the references to either invoke a certain emotion in the audience, or to allow for the medium to be seen as a different angle. There is a video game I want to talk about that uses many references in a way that reinforces its themes, enriching the narrative as well as using them to provide social commentary. The game in question is the highly acclaimed, award-winning
Metaphor.
Metaphor.
For metaphor.
Metaphor Refantazio.
Metaphor Refantazio.
Metaphor Refantazio, made by Atlus Studio and directed by the renowned director Katsura Hashino, is a RPG known for its social critique, amazing visuals, and its many references to things in real life. The game is set in the United Kingdom of Ukrainia, an island nation that is home to 8 tribes and 3 states, all of which blessed by magic. In the year 785, the unexpected death of the monarch shocked Ukrainia to its foundations. Conflicts among the tribes erupted due to anxiety, and their differences torn them apart. Join a young boy and his companions who enter the state-hosted tournament to restore the throne to his childhood friend, the Prince of Ukrainia, while also searching for a cure to break the curse afflicting him. While metaphor and Metaphor Refantazio is an allusion to the English writing technique, one of the biggest intertextual references is within the world building on this game. For the entirety of the game, you see the protagonist carry a book around with him. Although it is only known to be a fantasy novel, you later find out that this book is made by an author named Moore, who is trapped in a space known as the Academia. The name of the author and the fantasy novel is a clear reference to Renaissance writer Sir Thomas More and his book Utopia. Utopia is a book about Sir Thomas More's fictional self and his friend Peter Giles meeting up with Hythloday. Hythloday then recounts his discovery of the island nation called Utopia, and how amazing the culture and politics are compared to England, where they lived, such as the lack of a currency, its perfect justice system, and the perfect society its people lived in. However, the image of a seemingly perfect society was soon broken down in the later parts of the book, showing its hypocrisy and its fair share of problems. Metaphor's fictional country is a digital materialization of the reality of this country. We know this game is a projection of this book, first with the map of Ukrainia looking eerily close to the island that Thomas More has described in his book. The United Kingdom of Ukrainia's name is also relevant, as Ukrainia means good time while being derived from the term Ukrainia, which could be interpreted as alternate history. This poses the idea that a good time could only be possible in a world with an alternate history, unachievable by definition, just like how the modern definition of utopia juxtaposes the original one of non-existent. The in-game character called More is of course a reference, but what is special about him is although he appears to the protagonist as an author, it is revealed at the end of the game that he is the embodiment of the will of the dead king Hythlodaeus V. Not only references Hythlodae the Traveller, but also agrees with many critiques that Hythlodae is the alter ego of the conservative and objective Thomas More. In the perspective of metaphor, the dual role of More can be understood as the wishful king, knowing that his ideals are far-reached, he continues his struggle to create a perfect world without hate, but succumbs into his anxiety after losing his son, spiraling into sickness. The request for us to see Metaphor's world as a reflection of our own is further seen when new allies join him in his quest in gaining trust from his future citizens. They often ask him about the book he is always reading and join him in one of his reading sessions. One of the pages in the book says,
"In this world there is only one tribe. All people accept each other, and no soul is born into discrimination." Wow.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? They are describing our world, but in a rose-tinted way. As the more pages they read, the more the descriptions differ from our reality.
In this world, one can become anything they desire. Neither birth nor status decides your occupation.
All are equal. All live in safety. And the rich and poor are as one. With no gaps, no conflict. All are friends, deserving of help.
At the end of their reading session, like fictional readers of our world, would only romanticize the world within the pages. But unlike us, the group would use the book's ideas as something to fight for, to make a world better aligned with what is in the book. Hashino uses the group's actions as a request for us to rethink whether fantasy is yet another tool for escapism, or that we can use it to shape our view of the world. The references in Metaphor don't just stop at the setting, there are also references in the gameplay itself. While most of the monsters of this world look like your average fantasy animal, there is a type of creature that stands out from the rest. The monsters known as humans. The design of most humans are directly taken from the artist Hieronymus Bosch, another Renaissance artist known for his surreal triptych artworks. Bosch is sometimes credited as the first to create depictions of monsters or fantasy creatures. This aligns with Atlus's vision for Metaphor to be a reimagination of the classic fantasy world, and hence they draw inspiration from Bosch's fantasy worlds. Some examples of direct inspiration are the human monster enemies that start with Homo in their name. Homo Golio from the Garden of Earthly Delights' Earthside, Homo Ivades from the same triptych but on the Hellside, as well as Homo Pento from the triptych Temptation of St. Anthony. In the later stages of the game, the protagonist is told that the monster humans were normal humans of the old world who succumbed into their own anxiety. This negative emotions, which is the feel for the magic of this world, forcefully turned them into monsters. Humans as a monster, as well as their design, reinforces one of the morals which the game gives, to not let anxiety well up inside you. To fight the monsters of this world, our team members acquire a special power called Archetypes, which brings forth power from within to deal massive amounts of damage to the enemies. The concept of archetypes in the game draws partial inspiration from Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist Carl Jung's theory of the unconscious. He discovered that there are recurring patterns and behaviors in every human, regardless of cultures and experiences. He then proceeded to refine his findings and coined the patterns archetypes. The four main archetypes include the persona, the variant of ourselves in which we show the world; the shadow, the subconscious part of us that carries all the things we do not want to know about ourselves or do not like; the anima animus, the abstract feminine or masculine side of a person that is opposite to their sex; as well as the self, the center of
Psyche.
that unifies both the conscious and the subconscious. One of the main ideas Jung gave out is that it is important to recognize the shadow within, as within the depths of the shadow lie untapped potentials and hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. By embracing and integrating the shadow, individuals reclaim lost parts of themselves, fostering a deeper sense of wholeness and self-acceptance. The action of embracing the darker part of yourself is seen in the game when awakening to an archetype. First, the individual must recognize their shadow, such as repressed fears or insecurities. Then, they would rip open their chest to take out a heart-shaped microphone known as the resonant vessel, and accept the shadow by speaking an oath into it. Finally, the archetypes manifest around the individual like a body of armor, like the shadow integrating with the ego. There are parts of the storyline that are related to past ideologies and mythologies as well. The biggest elephant in the game is the prominent appearance of a religion known as Sanctism. It is a powerful, state-sponsored religion that mirrors some aspects of Catholicism in its structure and influence. More examples include being monotheistic faith centered on the worship of a gone god, the use of a phrase to end a prayer, and having major influence in politics of a country. It is of note that the actions of the Sanctus Church bear an exaggerated form of the Roman Catholic Church during the Middle Ages. Like Catholicism, there is a head of church known as Sanctifex Foedum. Unlike the modern-day popes, he was corrupt, ambitious, and he was planning to take over the throne and made Sanctism the state religion, while intentionally segregating tribes whose ideologies differ from the view of the church. One example is the Mustari tribe, who not only live on remote islands, but they also serve in a religion that is a stark contrast from the Sanctifex teachings. As a result, Foedum declared the people pagans and directly declared their religion as fake. As part of one of the many challenges the throne contestants face, the church even asked the contestants to bring a Mustari relic, something the Mustari regard as vessels for their many gods to be disposed of. Perhaps from this, Hashino is trying to warn us that ideologies, when left unchecked, could give power to those who can sway such ideas and ruin society. Because of the many misconducts Sanctifex Foedum has caused that led the country to its current state, one of the contestants for the throne, known as Louis Coridrius, or commonly known as Count Louis, has openly stated that he would eliminate Sanctism. However, because he supposedly assassinated the prince and him actually assassinating the king, plus his threats to kill people who oppose him, many dislike or hate him, like our protagonist and his team. Louis vouches for a world built on true meritocracy, from skill and rationality. However, his true intention is to induce the populace with copious amounts of magic, which turns people with strong wills into higher beings, and the rest into human monsters. During the last boss fight, we can see Louis has turned himself into a three-headed monster with wings. His design can be attributed to Dante's Divine Comedy, where Satan is also depicted with 3 heads. Along with this, Louis's last name, Caladius, refers to a Roman mythological bird who can take away the sickness from the sickened. From both references, we can infer that Louis is attempting to create a situation where those who can overcome the anxieties would be strong enough to build a better society. This extreme ideology is a polar opposite to Sanctism, where believers are told they could cast their worries onto the one above. This is all a message from Metaphor that it may be tempting to tackle your worries on your own, but without proper help from others, especially from professionals, it would likely resurface and harm yourself, just like how Louis loses his sanity due to his anxiety at the end. Another thing that is noteworthy about Metaphor is the soundtrack. Take a listen to this. Composed by Soji Megumo, much of the soundtrack has two main vocal groups. Mock Kesuke Honryo chants lines written in an original in-world tongue inspired by Esperanto, a language that attempted to unify the world in language, which evokes themes of unity and a universal voice. The inclusion of a contrast Western-style choir, Glory Chorus Tokyo, singing the chorus, also in the same language, further highlights the theme, or a call for cooperation between humankind for a better future, instead of hate and segregation, which led Ukraine into its sorry state. Finally, this section of the video is dedicated to minor references that Atlus added as a nod to gamers who have played their previous titles, with a keen eye, as well as buying all the DLCs for $63. Here is a brief run-through of all these cross-game references. The Persona Master and Devil Summoner archetypes' name came from the games Persona and Devil Summoner. The Soul Hacker archetype is also a reference to the previous title Soul Hackers. The Persona Master shooting itself in an animation when using the archetype is a callback to how characters summon their persona in Persona 3. The Devil Summoners' summons are personas from the Persona series. Yes, I know personas are originally from SMT, so keep that comment to yourself. Forden brings in the Holy Grail from Persona 5, Piggytron 3000 also from Persona 5, and a Demonica helmet from Strange Journey to showcase the relics the church had confiscated. The most powerful daggers in the game are called Joker's Knives, and the description reads, daggers used by a rebel who laughed in the face of authority. Definitely talking about Joker from Persona 5. High school uniform outfits for your team. Is that Makoto? In the end, Metaphor Refantazio is a game that reflects many things in real life. It is a reflection of our history, our art, our philosophies, and our flaws back at us. The game takes Thomas More's Utopia and points out the flaws of a so-called perfect world. Then it mixes in Bosch's surreal horrors to remind us of what happens when fear consumes us. Borrows Jung's archetypes to push us towards self-acceptance. And even reimagines religions to warn us of unchecked power and influence. The game uses these allusions to make us question whether fantasy should be a place for escapism, or an inspiration for change.